Chapter 11 Ren Xue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 11 Qian Ren Xue. Alright, that's it. I'm officially in charge around here. Xiao Wu, having just trounced 13 classmates, minus Chowda, planted her hands on her hips and surveyed her domain. From now on, you all call me Miss Xiao Wu, but whether they liked it or not, nobody could argue with that logic. Beating her was simply not an option at the moment, so everyone resigned themselves to Xiao Wu's whims. 5 students boasted higher spirit power levels, but only Chowda posed a real threat. And since Chowda wasn't interested in being class president, the title defaulted to Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu reveled in the role, clearly enjoying the power and the title. They were all young, bursting with energy, and driven by an inherent need to compete and compare themselves. As a soul beast in human form, Xiao Wu possessed greater physical strength than soul masters of the same rank. Coupled with her decent soul skills, she was a tough opponent for most, especially within Lanba Academy. From now on, Miss Xiao Wu's got your back. Anyone messes with you, you come to me. She puffed out her chest. And Chowda's my bro, which makes him your bro too. Think of him as the boss's boss. Xiao Wu really had the makings of a leader. Chowda's impressive spirit power, already at level 30, had become common knowledge. He would soon be a full-fledged soul master. This made him an even more formidable presence than Xiao Wu, so no one would dare to challenge him. As freshmen, they primarily focused on absorbing the theoretical knowledge of soul masters. Some had already attended elementary or intermediate soul master academies, giving them a head start. Chowda and Xiao Wu, on the other hand, were encountering much of this information for the first time, especially Xiao Wu. Chowda, at least, had the advantage of having read most of the original novels and watched the anime, granting him a basic understanding. Perhaps influenced by Yu Xiaojiang, Lu Erlong integrated some of his theories into the Lanba Academy curriculum, though sparingly. The core curriculum remained rooted in the fundamental knowledge of soul masters on the Douluo Continent. This included the basics: soul master, martial soul, soul ring, soul skill, soul bone, and combat experience. Then, they delved into the specifics of soul beasts, distribution, classification, and their connection to soul rings and soul bones. Finally, there was an overview of significant soul master factions, such as the Haotian School, the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, the Blue Lightning Overlord Dragon School, as well as the Spirit Hall and the Star Luo Empire. Wow, there's a lot to learn here. This is actually pretty cool. Chowda was as curious as Xiao Wu when they first began studying. Chowda focused on pills, medicinal herbs, and resources to help increase his cultivation. He devoured material on herbs but found no mention of immortal herbs. The recorded plants and elixirs were strictly the common variety. The study of medicinal herbs and elixirs in the Douluo Continent was limited. Their main use was for healing, detoxification, and nourishment. Pills that could restore mental or soul power were scarce, and the effective ones were even rarer. As for medicinal herbs and ingredients to aid cultivation, they were merely supplemental. In his mind, none were as effective as the seafood he caught in the capture space. Since Chowda and Xiao Wu's dorm allowed them to cook, they continued to rely on fishing and cooking in the captive space to enhance their daily training. Months flew by. Chowda's soul power had reached level 32, but he still needed his third soul ring. Xiao Wu's soul power was at level 24. Her cultivation was not as rapid as Chowda's. After all, Xiao Wu and Lu Erlong's soul power improvements were merely a bonus to Chowda, so he would naturally improve at a faster rate. Chowda needed to capture a third woman to get his third soul ring, and he set his sights on Qian Ren Xue. Qian Ren Xue was currently masquerading as Xue Qinghe, the crown prince of the Heaven Do Empire. Qian Ren Xue possessed a seraphim spirit and an innate spirit power of level 20. She was exceptionally talented. Though Qian Ren Xue was his chosen target, encountering her wouldn't be a simple matter. As the crown prince, she was hardly accessible. Chowda had been gathering information on Xue Qinghe, but so far, no opportunity to meet him had presented itself. He needed to be within range of Xue Qinghe to drag him into the capture space and bind him, but doing so discreetly would be a challenge. Qian Ren Xue, posing as Xue Qinghe, was always surrounded by guards. Even if he managed an encounter, he couldn't possibly bind her in the capture space in broad daylight. Capturing Qian Ren Xue was proving to be a tricky endeavor. however, Xiao De finally caught a break. He learned that Xue Qinghe was studying aristocratic etiquette and music at Yuexian in Tiando City. Yuexian was an academy run by Tang Yuehua. Tang Yuehua was Tang Hao's sister. Her martial soul was a mutant martial soul with a spirit power of level 9. Her situation was similar to Yu Xiaojiang's in that it was restricted and impossible to improve. However, Tang Yuehua possessed the noble aura ability. This allowed her to calm the mind and refine one's character. It could suppress negative emotions and project an aura of nobility. This ability was greatly valued among the aristocracy. Most children of the Heaven Dou Empire's imperial family studied at Yuexian to cultivate a noble temperament. The crown prince, Xue Qinghe, Ren Xue, was no exception. Now 15 or 16 years old, Xue Qinghe was at the right age to begin learning etiquette and music. After receiving the news, Xiao De finally had a chance to approach Ren Xue, Xue Qinghe. He began spending his time at Yuexian. Soon enough, he spotted Ren Xue disguised as Xue Qinghe. But there were always too many people around, so he had to wait for a better opportunity. Over a month passed. Xiao De visited Yuexian every few days, occasionally staying for extended periods. Finally, his patience paid off. One day, Xue Qinghe, Ren Xue, arrived at Yuexian alone. This was the moment. Xiao De concealed himself behind a nearby wall and called out, Ren Xue. Hearing her true name startled Xue Qinghe. She looked around frantically but saw no one. Who's there? After living as Xue Qinghe for over 10 years, she never expected to hear her real name spoken aloud. The moment Ren Xue spoke, she vanished and reappeared. It happened in an instant. Even if someone had been watching, they would have dismissed it as a trick of the light. However, nobody was around. Ren Xue, Xue Qinghe, felt dazed, as if she had briefly entered a strange place, where she saw a vast ocean. Could I be hallucinating because I'm not getting enough sleep? That she wondered if she had imagined hearing Ren Xue. She carefully scanned her surroundings. After finding nothing unusual, she shrugged it off and walked towards Yuexian. Xiao De quietly slipped away, his mission accomplished. Ren Xue, 15 years old, already a soul king. After binding Ren Xue in the capture space, her stats appeared. She was 15 years old with a spirit power level of 53. Xiao De had obtained his third soul ring, which had a lifespan of over 3 years. This was the combined lifespan of Ren Xue's 5 soul rings. Xiao De's soul power had jumped to level 35, a 2-level increase. This was the direct result of binding Ren Xue. In addition, his physical and mental strength were enhanced. End of this chapter. Chapter 12 Drunk. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Douluo Continent, Heaven Dou Empire, Heaven Dou City, Lanba Academy. Grubs on. Let's eat. Lu Erlong and Xiao Wu were just finishing up in the kitchen at Lu Erlong's place, with Xiao Wu acting as sous chef. Tonight's spread was something special, a little celebration for Xiao De getting his third soul ring. Technically, that third ring came from trapping Ren Xue in his space, but Lu Erlong thought Xiao De had manifested it himself. Even without seeing it firsthand, she was starting to believe he could do it. Between Xiao De and Xiao Wu, there were just too many unbelievable things happening. Lu Erlong was getting used to it, and ever since she'd been caught in Xiao De's space, she felt this inexplicable trust and affection for him, like she could never hurt him. So, she'd never breathe a word about him and Xiao Wu to anyone. Over the past 6 months, Lu Erlong had become a mentor and friend, helping with their studies and training, looking after them, and inviting them over for dinner regularly. Xiao Wu was just a ray of sunshine, so lively and lovable, and Xiao De's maturity was incredibly reassuring. Before she knew it, Lu Erlong had started thinking of Xiao Wu as a daughter. She'd initially considered seeing Xiao De as a son too, but something felt different. There was something about him that attracted her, a quality she couldn't quite put her finger on, but he was only 9, even if he was nearly 6 feet tall. Lu Erlong just couldn't go there. But she couldn't think of him as a son either, so she decided sticking to a teacher-student relationship was best. So, it's been almost half a year since you guys came to Lanba Academy. How are you liking it? Lu Erlong piled food on their plates as she asked. Thanks, teacher. Here, you eat too, Xiao Wu said, putting food on Lu Erlong's plate. It's great here. The academy's huge, and there's always something going on. But the best part is having you and my brother here. It's the best, 'cause you're here. Xiao Wu was practically a celebrity at Lamba Academy now. Sister Xiao Wu was a household name, and being Dean Lu Erlong's disciple gave her some serious clout. She was basically the queen bee. Even soul masters in their 30s with levels in the 30s steered clear of her, or even tried to get on her good side. Xiao De chimed in, "Life's good here with you, teacher." "I'm glad to hear that." Lu Erlong smiled. "You two are special, but you're still young. I worried it might be hard adjusting to a new place. But you've adapted so well, just make yourselves at home. This is your home now, and I'm your family. If you're ever in trouble, or just need to talk, come to me, okay? Don't keep it bottled up." Xiao De and Xiao Wu nodded, their hearts touched by her caring nature. Xiao Wu especially was feeling the maternal love, and Xiao De was more than happy to get closer to Lu Erlong. Ever since he captured the space and bound Lu Erlong, Xiao De regarded Lu Erlong as his own. Even though he was only 9, his body was basically fully grown, and Lu Erlong was at the peak of her beauty, incredibly alluring. "Teacher, I'd like to propose a toast, to thank you for taking care of us." Xiao De raised his glass. "Me too," Xiao Wu piped up. "All right then," Lu Erlong happily agreed. They might be young, but they were growing up fast, so a little bit of alcohol wouldn't hurt. Maybe it was the good mood, but all three ended up drinking way too much and getting tipsy. They drank from dusk till dawn, the next morning. "What the?" Lu Erlong woke up with a start, finding herself in bed with Xiao De and Xiao Wu. "Okay." She breathed a sigh of relief, seeing they were all still fully dressed. Carefully, she got out of bed. She wanted to scoop up Xiao Wu and leave, but Xiao Wu was clinging to Xiao De like a koala. Lu Erlong had no choice but to sneak out on her own. It would be way too awkward if they woke up and found her there. "Ugh. I was so wasted." Lu Erlong splashed water on her face, promising herself she'd never get that drunk again. If something had happened, the consequences were unimaginable. As for Xiao De and Xiao Wu, Lu Erlong had thought it wasn't good for them to live together because they were young, but considering that their bodies were basically mature and their relationship was good, they had already privately decided to live together for life. People are adults and their minds are not children, so Lu Erlong didn't stop them from living together, but just told them not to cross the line, and to do it when they were mature. Can't keep treating them like kids, especially Xiao De. He's a big kid now. Lu Erlong had even caught Xiao De looking at her differently sometimes, not with childish eyes, but with the admiration of a man. After making breakfast, she went to wake up the still sleeping pair. "Morning already," Xiao Wu mumbled, still half asleep. "Teacher, were we all hammered last night?" Xiao De was genuinely out of it, with no memory of the night before. "You guys need to learn to pace yourselves. I was so gone last night, I'd have ended up sleeping in the living room if it wasn't for me." Lu Erlong said this on purpose, emphasizing that he was not drunk. In this way, it is impossible for me to sleep with them, lest they think too much. Get up and eat. Xiao Wu giggled. "First time I've ever had that much to drink. Still a little dizzy." "I'll rub your head." Xiao De leaned over and gently massaged her temples. Xiao Wu sighed contentedly. "That feels so good." Lu Erlong smiled, feeling a mix of warmth at their bond and a pang of something else. At the same time Lu Erlong thought of Yu Xiaojiang, but only for a moment. In the past, it would definitely be sad for a long time, but now it has changed, because Lu Erlong had Xiao De in his eyes. Stop fooling around and get up. Under Lu Erlong's urging, Xiao De and Xiao Wu had no choice but to get up. Xiao Wu wanted Xiao De to rub her for a while longer, but she had to give up. Over breakfast, Lu Erlong announced, "No classes for you two today. Figured we could hit the town." Xiao Wu lit up. "Yes. It's been ages since I've gone shopping." They were usually stuck studying or training, rarely leaving the academy. Xiao De spoke up. "I want to check out the Great Soul Arena." The Great Soul Arena was a famous institution throughout the Douluo Continent, found in most major cities. Soul masters could sign up to compete in soul battles there. The Great Soul Arena, huh? Lu Erlong was surprised, as he felt that Xiao De and Xiao Wu were still young, but he realized that he couldn't treat them as children. Alright, I'll take you to see them. Chapter 13 Ning Rongrong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had flown by. Xiao De was now 14, and Xiao Wu was 12. Xiao De's spirit power had reached level 49, but he hadn't yet found a suitable spirit ring. Xiao Wu, on the other hand, was a true spirit sect, her soul power already at level 41 with 4 spirit rings. Their cultivation speed was impressive, thanks in no small part to the seafood they caught in the capture space. Especially Xiao Wu, whose spirit power was significantly higher than in the original timeline. Xiao Wu's 4 spirit skills remained the same: waist bow, charm, teleportation, and invincible golden body. Xiao De's 3 spirit skills were poking fist, forbidden space, and space leap. Space leap was similar to Xiao Wu's teleportation, but Xiao De's version currently had a range of 100 meters, while Xiao Wu's only reached 5. Xiao De, Xiao Wu, be careful out there, and come back safe, Lu Erlong said with a touch of sadness. Today was the day Xiao De and Xiao Wu were leaving Lanba Academy for their own training journey. Originally, Lu Erlong wanted them to wait until they reached the Spirit Queen rank, but they insisted. Besides, with their current strength, they could hold their own against Spirit Kings, so she relented and let them go. After 5 years, Lu Erlong considered Xiao Wu like a daughter. And Xiao De held a special place in her heart. He often flirted playfully, which only deepened her affection for him. She tried not to dwell on it too much, afraid of facing the true nature of her feelings. Experience was crucial for a spirit master's growth, and Lu Erlong couldn't protect them forever. Xiao De had chosen this time to leave so he could find Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing and bind them to the capture space. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School was near Tiando City, but Xiao De hadn't seen Ning Rongrong in years. He would have to head to Shrek Academy in Soto City and wait. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were both incredibly talented, with the potential to become gods. Binding them would be a safe bet, providing Xiao De with a constant source of spirit rings. Lu Erlong prepared 2 fine horses for Xiao De and Xiao Wu, and they set off south from Tiando City. 10 days later. Xiao Wu, the sun's almost down. Let's stay at this inn and leave again in the morning, Xiao De said as they stopped in front of a roadside inn. Okay. They entered the inn. A dozen or so people were eating in the lobby. They all glanced up as the newcomers entered, taking them in. Xiao De and Xiao Wu found an empty table, sat down, and ordered some food. Soon, the inn filled up, and every table was taken. Just as they were finishing their meal, a girl in blue appeared at the door, looking young and innocent. She scanned the room and, seeing no empty tables, frowned slightly before walking towards Xiao De and Xiao Wu. She sat down without a word and ordered her food. Xiao Wu looked at the girl and said, "Hi, I'm Xiao Wu. What's your name?" Perhaps drawn in by the similar age, the girl replied, "My name is Ning Rongrong." Ning Rongrong. Xiao De looked up, studying her carefully. Judging by her demeanor, looks, and age, it had to be Ning Rongrong from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. He hadn't expected to find her here. Looks like she hadn't made it to Soto City yet. Xiao Wu, not knowing who Ning Rongrong was, continued the conversation. "This is my brother, Xiao De." "Ning Rongrong, that's a pretty name. Are you traveling alone?" Ning Rongrong paused, then looked around and lowered her voice. "Xiao Wu, are you spirit masters?" She could sense their spirit power. Likewise, Xiao De and Xiao Wu could feel hers. Xiao Wu smiled. "Yes, we are. We're out here training." "What about you?" Training. Ning Rongrong studied them. They seemed a few years older, probably stronger than her. She herself wasn't training. She'd snuck away from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. A runaway. She wanted to see the world, experience a different life. She was tired of being cooped up. Since she was running away, she couldn't tell anyone the truth. "I'm just traveling around, seeing the sights," she said. "Where are you guys from?" "Where are you headed?" Xiao Wu replied, "We came from Tiando City, heading south. We're about to enter the Barak Kingdom, and we're going to visit Soto City. We're practicing along the way." "Where are you going?" "Want to come with us?" Xiao Wu's enthusiasm took Ning Rongrong by surprise. You're going to Soto City? I don't really have a destination in mind. Soto City is the capital of the Barak Kingdom. I've never been. Maybe I'll go with you. Chowda remained quiet, watching Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong become fast friends. They all stayed at the inn that night, and set off after breakfast the next morning. Ning Rongrong rented a carriage with a driver. Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong rode inside, while Chowda rode his horse alongside, leading the other. Chowda noticed someone seemed to be following them. He figured it was someone sent by the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School to keep an eye on Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong thought she'd gotten away with her secret escape, but she didn't know she'd already been discovered. They just weren't stopping her, opting to follow quietly. A few days later, they reached Soto City. You can go now, Ning Rongrong said, dismissing the carriage and driver. She'd be staying with Chowda and Xiao Wu. After a few days together, she'd let her guard down. She felt like Chowda and Xiao Wu were good people. They found an inn to stay in, and spent the next day exploring Soto City. One night, they all had a little wine. Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu both got drunk. Ning Rongrong. Chowda tried to call to her. Quiet. I wanna sleep, she mumbled, barely conscious. Chowda felt the time was right. He would bind Ning Rongrong using the capture space. Ning Rongrong. Ugh. Ning Rongrong vanished, only to reappear in an instant. The binding was complete. Ning Rongrong became Chowda's fourth bound woman. With the binding, Chowda gained a nearly 1,000-year-old yellow spirit ring, and his spirit power reached level 50, less than one level to go, but it couldn't be helped. Ning Rongrong's spirit power was only in her 20s, the boost she could provide was limited. Zhu Zhuqing is next. With his spirit power at level 50, it was the perfect time to bind another. But he didn't know if Zhu Zhuqing had even arrived in Soto City yet. Chapter 14 Confession, Secret. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ouch, she groaned. Ning Rongrong woke up with a pounding headache, the usual morning after effect of too much booze. She wasn't much of a drinker to begin with, usually just a sip here and there. Yesterday was the first time she'd really tied one on, and clearly, she'd gone overboard. Part of it was being in such a good mood and wanting to celebrate, but let's be real, Chowda's food was ridiculously good, and he kept pouring her wine. Getting drunk was practically inevitable. Ugh. She rolled over, ready to face the day, and nearly jumped out of her skin when she saw someone else in the bed. Her heart skipped a beat, then she realized it was just Xiao Wu, and she let out a relieved breath. Seriously? Chowda stuck Xiao Wu in here with me. That ever since she'd met them, Xiao Wu had always slept with Chowda. Finding her next to her felt a little weird. Huh? Rongrong, Xiao Wu mumbled, still half asleep. Ning Rongrong's voice had roused her. Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong said, we got totally plastered last night. I have no idea how we ended up sleeping together. Thank goodness Chowda isn't here. If Chowda had been sprawled out next to her, Ning Rongrong would have screamed bloody murder. Xiao Wu giggled. My brother can hold his liquor. And he's not like that, you know. We sleep together, but we don't do anything. Ning Rongrong blushed, her voice dropping to a whisper. You two just slept. Nothing else. That she knew the basics about guys and girls, after all. We're still kids, Xiao Wu said matter-of-factly. We definitely can't do that. She didn't seem embarrassed in the slightest. Ning Rongrong wasn't put off by Xiao Wu's frankness. Actually, she was a little jealous. You guys have such a great relationship. You're going to be so happy together. Thanks, Xiao Wu replied, beaming. She couldn't agree more. Being with Chowda made her incredibly happy. Just then, Chowda's voice floated in from outside the door. Xiao Wu, Rongrong, rise and shine. Breakfast is ready. Chowda had sweet-talked the innkeeper into letting him use the kitchen, and he'd whipped up breakfast using the seafood he'd caught in his capture space. These days, he could snag all the seafood he wanted from the fishing platform in there. And since they were practically imbued with spiritual energy, eating them every day was a huge boost to their training. Coming, bro, Xiao Wu called back, then turned to Ning Rongrong. Let's get up, Rongrong. My brother makes the best breakfast. You're gonna love it. Chowda's cooking is amazing, Ning Rongrong agreed. After last night's feast, she couldn't wait to see what he'd cooked up for breakfast. It turned out to be noodles, seafood noodles, to be exact. Freshly kneaded seafood dough, simmered to perfection. Xiao Wu practically inhaled her bowl. So good. You're the best, bro, Ning Rongrong echoed her enthusiasm. I've never had noodles this delicious in my life, Chowda smiled. Glad you like it. I'll make them for you guys whenever you want. Okay, Ning Rongrong murmured, and then accidentally locked eyes with Chowda. A strange jolt went through her, like a mini electric shock, and her cheeks flushed crimson. She quickly looked away, avoiding his gaze. Unbeknownst to her, Chowda had been playing around with the capture space functions, and after he had bonded with the space, Ning Rongrong developed a 100% trust and loyalty to him. What's more, she wouldn't be attracted to any other man but him. Any woman bound by a capture space would only ever like Chowda, or not like men at all. Ning Rongrong had no idea about any of this. She was too busy battling her own thoughts, wondering if she might be developing a crush on Chowda. But he already had Xiao Wu, which kind of bummed her out. No, she told herself. She tried her best to push the thoughts aside, deciding to deal with them later. After breakfast, they left the inn for a stroll. They walked, chatted, and generally enjoyed the morning. Finally, Ning Rongrong blurted out, Xiao Wu, Chowda, we're friends now, right? Xiao Wu nodded emphatically. Definitely. We're practically sisters. Rongrong, if you ever need anything, you have to tell us, okay? We'll always be there for you. Her sincerity was palpable. Ning Rongrong was touched. Actually, I'm from the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School. I kind of snuck away. Chowda feigned surprise. The Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect. One of the top 3 sects on the Douluo Continent. Rongrong, you're from there. And your martial soul is the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. You wouldn't happen to be the daughter of the sect leader, would you? Xiao Wu was genuinely shocked. She'd heard of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School and knew they had title douluos. They were a force to be reckoned with. Rongrong, you're serious? You're from the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, Ning Rongrong nodded. The sect leader is my father. I didn't mean to keep it a secret. Chowda gave her an understanding look. It's okay, I get it. You can't just go around announcing who you are. It could cause problems. Ning Rongrong nodded. Exactly. I trust you guys, that's why I told you. You have to keep it a secret, promise. Xiao Wu grabbed Ning Rongrong's hand. Rongrong, you shared your secret with us, so we'll share ours. My brother and I are actually students at Tiando City Lanba Academy. Principal Lu Erlong is our teacher. She paused. I'm 12, and my brother is 14. She hesitated, then decided to keep the fact that she was a soul beast to herself. She didn't want to freak Ning Rongrong out. Ning Rongrong's jaw dropped. What? Xiao Wu, you're only 12, and Chowda is 14. And your soul power is already at level 41 and level 49. How is that even possible? She was floored. Incredible. Ning Rongrong thought she was a genius, one of the best, but compared to Xiao Wu and Chowda, she was nothing short of a monster. Chowda offered a casual explanation. We're just built different. We were already your height when we were 7 or 8. It's kind of a secret, so you have to keep it to yourself. You had the body of a 12 or 13-year-old at 7 or 8. Ning Rongrong was stunned again. Your physiques are definitely unique. Is that why you can cultivate so fast? Xiao Wu nodded. Yeah. There was no need to mention the captured space, the ingredients inside, or anything like that. Xiao Wu knew that their physical changes were mainly the result of constantly consuming the ingredients from the space. Ning Rongrong sighed. Do you even realize how ridiculously talented you are? If the big factions found out, they'd be fighting over you. You guys can't let anyone know. It could turn into a real mess. Don't worry, I'll keep your secret. I won't breathe a word to anyone. Sharing secrets had definitely brought them closer together. They spent the next little while swapping stories. Ning Rongrong's life at the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, Xiao and Xiao Wu's life at Lanba Academy. Well, hello there, ladies. What are your names? Suddenly, a fat guy waddled up to them. I'm Ma Hongjun. I'm a soul master, just like you, Xiao groaned inwardly. Of course Ma Hongjun would show up, wrinkling her nose at Ma Hongjun's sleazy vibe. Ning Rongrong snapped, no one cares. Get lost. You're ruining our walk. Xiao Wu scowled. Fatty, you look like a creep. I can tell you're trouble. Xiao stepped in front of them, glaring at Ma Hongjun. Beat it, Tubby. End of this chapter. Chapter 15 The Obscene Fatty Ma Hongjun and the Suave Dai Mubai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You can't judge people by looks. I'm a good guy, I swear, Ma Hongjun grinned, totally unfazed. Hey, just making friends. More friends, more options, right? No need to be hostile. He eyed Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong. Xiao Wu was all grown up, slim and curvy, seriously hot. Ning Rongrong wasn't quite there yet, but she was a natural beauty. Ma Hongjun was definitely interested. That's why he was laying on the charm. Maybe he could score with one of them, or even both. Even if nothing happened, at least he'd get a good look. Ma Hongjun staring made Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong cringe. Xiao Wu snapped, Fatty, we don't want to know you. Beat it. You keep staring like that, you're gonna poke your eye out. Ning Rongrong added with a sneer, seriously, you're disgusting. Xiao said coldly, yeah, right, like a toad's gonna marry a princess. Let's go. If he follows us, I'm gonna lose it. The three of them walked on. Ma Hongjun was pissed. He stood there for a second, then angrily trailed after them, but he kept his distance. Seemed like he just wanted to keep looking at Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong, and show he wasn't scared. Xiao Wu glanced back at Ma Hongjun. That fat guy's still following us. Ning Rongrong groaned, ugh, that creep. Xiao turned and said, I'm gonna teach him a lesson. He vanished, then reappeared right in front of Ma Hongjun, who was a good 20 feet back. Xiao double-fisted him right in the eyes, sending him sprawling. Ouch, the sneak attack caught Ma Hongjun completely off guard. He was flat on his back, and his eyes were already turning black and blue. Panda eyes were definitely on their way. Cheap shot. Ma Hongjun scrambled to his feet, ready to throw down. He summoned his fire phoenix, and a plump, red chicken appeared. 2 yellow spirit rings materialized around Ma Hongjun. Let's go. I'm not afraid of you. Come on, let's do this fairly. Seeing that Xiao was about his age, Ma Hongjun figured they were evenly matched power-wise. Xiao smirked. Fighting? Using spirit power and spirit skills would be like cheating. Quit talking smack, you chicken. Ma Hongjun moved. You sucker punched me. This is happening. He immediately used his spirit skill, a yellow ring glowing on his body. When using a spirit skill, if it wasn't instantaneous, the ring would appear during the cast. Xiao's skills were all instantaneous now, so his rings didn't show. Phoenix Firewire. Ma Hongjun breathed fire, blasting a stream of flames at Xiao. Without a word, Xiao punched out with his spirit skill, Piercing Fist, blocking the fire stream completely. Piercing Fist controlled the space around his fist, creating a barrier that the flames couldn't penetrate. Xiao put more power into it, and the space vibrated, sending flames scattering. He walked slowly towards Ma Hongjun. What kind of spirit skill is that? Ma Hongjun looked shocked. Second skill, Phoenix and Fire. He had to go all out. This skill boosted his attack by 30%. Ma Hongjun unleashed Phoenix Fire line again, 30% stronger. It still didn't work. Xiao's punch blew right through it. Xiao strolled up to Ma Hongjun. The gap between us is too big. Remember, stay away from us in the future. He kicked Ma Hongjun away, no spirit skills needed, then he turned and walked off like a boss. He rejoined Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong. Xiao Wu commented, that'll teach that fatso. But his first spirit ring was 100 years old, and he's about our age. He's already a great spirit master. That's pretty impressive. Ning Rongrong, seeing Ma Hongjun's ring, was also surprised. Talented or not, he's still a creep. Xiao De said, his spirit must be a mutation. That's why he's so fast with his training. Ning Rongrong smiled. He's nothing compared to you guys, especially Xiao De. You're a total monster. You used a spirit skill back there, but I didn't see the ring. It had to be instantaneous. That's incredible. Not many people can do that. Xiao Wu nodded. I can't do my 4 skills instantly. My brother's always been strong. Putting Ma Hongjun in his place cheered them up, and they chatted and laughed as they walked on. Meanwhile, Ma Hongjun was limping away, his face a mess of panda eyes. He passed by the Rose Hotel and ran into Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai was looking fly, with a hot woman on each arm. They were just ordinary women, but they were definitely giving off a vibe. Ma Hongjun, is that you? What are you hiding from me for? Dai Mubai recognized Ma Hongjun, who was pretending not to see him. Hey, boss Dai. Didn't want to interrupt. Ma Hongjun ducked his head, embarrassed for Dai Mubai to see him so ugly, but Dai Mubai saw it anyway. Ma Hongjun, did you get beat up? Did you try hitting on someone and get your butt kicked? Dai Mubai knew Ma Hongjun's reputation. Ma Hongjun didn't have much money, but he liked to play it smooth. He was always trying to pick up pretty girls, and he got his face rearranged sometimes. Ma Hongjun played it down. I just tripped. Boss Dai, you have fun. I'm gonna head back. But Dai Mubai stopped him. Tell me, who did this to you? Tell me who, and I'll help you get even. Ma Hongjun had to spill the story. It was pretty much what Dai Mubai expected, but Xiao De's toughness surprised him. He's about your age, but he totally owned you. He's probably a spirit master. Yeah, well, the guy's gone already. Just a random encounter. Not gonna find him now. I guess I can help you get back at him if we run into him again. Dai Mubai figured finding Xiao De and the others would be impossible. Ma Hongjun said, don't worry about it. If I get the chance, I'll get my revenge myself. Never mind, I gotta go find the dean and get patched up. Hope I don't get any scars and ruin my good looks. Dai Mubai laughed. Okay. You get going. I'm not going back tonight. Ma Hongjun looked at the 2 women and said enviously, Boss Dai, you know how to live. Hope you can handle it. Even if he had to pay, he'd still find one, and Dai Mubai had the cash to bring in a few at once. Mind your own business. Get lost and go take care of yourself. Dai Mubai led the 2 women toward the Rose Hotel, looking forward to getting to know them a little better. Neither of them noticed a figure watching them from nearby, especially Dai Mubai. It was Zhu Zhuqing, Dai Mubai's fiancée in name only. End of this chapter. Chapter 16. Let go of that girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Diner, Xiao De, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong were grabbing a bite to eat. Hey, Xiao De, have you heard anything about this Shrek Academy? Ning Rongrong asked, looking up. Xiao Wu and I were window shopping today, and I overheard some people talking about it. Sounds like this Shrek Academy is something else. They're bragging about only accepting monster students. Sounds kinda wild. Xiao Wu chimed in, only monster students. What even qualifies someone as a monster? Is it like, martial souls going haywire or something, that even though they'd caught snippets about Shrek Academy, they were still fuzzy on the details? Xiao De said, Shrek Academy? Yeah, I've been hearing whispers about it lately. Even saw some of their recruitment posters. Basically, they're saying that you gotta be under 12 and have a soul power level above 25 to even be considered. Think about that for a second. 12 years old, soul power above 25. Do you even realize how rare that is? How many kids can actually pull that off? 12 years old, soul power over 25. It clicked for Xiao Wu. Wait a minute. Rongrong and I both meet those requirements. Does that mean we're, like, monsters? Ning Rongrong had a better grasp on the situation. Xiao Wu, you gotta understand, there are only a few prodigies that reach level 25 spirit power at the age of 12. They are truly geniuses among geniuses. Shrek Academy is setting the bar so high with those admissions requirements. Even Heaven Do Imperial Academy isn't asking for that much. Honestly, I'm starting to wonder if Shrek Academy has even managed to recruit any students. And even if they have, it's probably just a couple of kids. Chowda nodded. It's a tough sell, trying to recruit kids under those conditions. Plus, those kinds of prodigies are always in demand. Every Soul Master Academy is fighting to get their hands on them. They'd be pulling out all the stops to nurture them. My guess is that Shrek Academy probably doesn't have much to offer. They're just hoping to luck out and snag a few gifted students so they can look good, but honestly, do those kinds of geniuses even need their help? I mean, why would a monster-level genius choose Shrek Academy, unless they had no other choice or they were being bamboozled? No other choice. Ning Rongrong thought about her own situation. She was in a special situation, wasn't she? No wonder she'd felt a twinge of interest in Shrek Academy. After hearing all this, Xiao Wu seemed to get it. So, basically, Shrek Academy can't handle training regular students or even regular geniuses. They're just gambling that they can reel in some crazy talented kids, so they don't have to spend any resources on training them. Then, when the kids become famous, Shrek Academy can ride their coattails. Ha! What a scam! Chowda said, exactly. And get this, Shrek Academy isn't even a real Soul Master Academy. It's not recognized by Barak Kingdom. Chowda wasn't exaggerating at all. Without the resources to train students, they have no choice but to try their luck with these unusual admissions conditions. How could a monstrous genius reasonably choose Shrek Academy? Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, Oscar and the others entered Shrek Academy under special circumstances, and the same goes for Tang San, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing and others after that. The group of monstrous geniuses, as long as they are not deliberately suppressed, will definitely grow up, and how much role can Shrek Academy play in it? As they were discussing Shrek Academy, some people sat down at the next table. Did you hear about those girls getting attacked by that flower-picking thief? They're not dead, but they're practically worse off. Yeah, I heard. Scares me half to death. I'm trying not to go out at night, especially alone. Chowda and the others perked up, listening intently. When they finished, Xiao Wu was practically bouncing with excitement. Rongrong, Chowda, there's a flower picker running around. Let's catch him. Ning Rongrong chuckled. Xiao Wu, you've got such a knightly spirit. But the world is what it is. The strong prey on the weak, and people get taken advantage of every day. I can't save everyone. Xiao Wu brushed it off. You can't just ignore it when it's right in front of you. She looked at Chowda. Chowda, can we? Chowda smiled and nodded. Doing good? I'm all in. And I'll be right there with you. He had a capture space. If they ran into trouble, he could stash Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong away in a safe space, so he didn't have too much to worry about when it came to safety. Ning Rongrong sighed. If you two are going, I guess I'm going too. It's safer in numbers. Xiao Wu hooped. I knew Rongrong had a good heart. Alright, we're on. Tonight, we find this flower picker and teach him a lesson. And so, from that evening on, the three of them started patrolling the city, looking for the flower picker, but after 5 or 6 days of fruitless searching, Ning Rongrong started to lose steam. Xiao Wu, maybe the flower picker already left town. Xiao Wu wasn't ready to give up. Let's just try a few more days. 2 nights later, the moon hung high in the sky, and the night was still and quiet. A girl stood by a bridge, gazing at the moon. Nearby, 3 figures approached silently. The girl sensed something, turned around, and saw 3 men approaching. She immediately tensed up. I've been dying for some action. And I just so happened to stumble upon someone after coming out. Talk about a stroke of luck. This lady has a body, let's have some fun. Don't be afraid, little sister, your uncle will take care of you, haha. The 3 men were blatantly crude, making no attempt to hide their intentions. Are you the flower pickers? The girl asked. She'd obviously heard the rumors. You knew and still dared to come out alone. Don't resist, or it'll hurt you. Point one of the men, with rat-like teeth, said. The girl frowned. She could already sense the fluctuations of soul power coming from the 3 men. She was a soul master herself, and if she had to fight, she would. She immediately released her martial soul, a phantom civet. Her soul rings appeared, 2 yellow rings. She was a great soul master. Hey, a soul master. A great soul master, no less. This will be even better. It's really lucky, I haven't tasted the taste of a soul master for a long time. Should be able to play longer this time. The 3 men released their spirits one after another, showing their spirit rings, white, yellow, yellow, purple, purple. White, yellow, yellow, purple, purple. White, yellow, yellow, purple, purple. 2 soul kings and a soul sect. The girl was in deep trouble. She was only a great soul master. Even though her spirit and talent were good, her soul power was simply too low. She was no match for the 3 of them. The girl made a snap decision. She poured her soul power into her legs, turned, and bolted. Running now. A little late for that, the 3 men quickly overtook her, surrounding her from all sides. The girl didn't say a word. If she couldn't run, she'd have to fight. Nether claws. Nether spikes. She unleashed her soul skills without holding back, but even though she fought with everything she had, the difference in soul power was too great. She was hopelessly outmatched. Before long, the girl was injured and subdued by the 3 men. We told you resisting would hurt you. Why didn't you listen? Seems you need some training. Let us help you with that. The 3 men dragged the girl back to their temporary hideout, ready to enjoy their prize, but at that moment, a female voice rang out, let that girl go. Chapter 17 Xiao Wu shows her skills, living is the greatest punishment for them. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A woman's voice cut through the air, let her go. The 3 men swiveled their heads, spotting a curvy figure striding onto the bridge, soul rings blazing to life around her, yellow, yellow, purple, purple. 4 rings in 4 steps. It was Xiao Wu. Trailing behind her, Ning Rongrong materialized, her 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda radiating light, 2 yellow soul rings swirling around her. A soul sect and a great soul master, the flower-snatching trio collectively scoffed. A soul sect and a great soul master. We can handle that. The men were known as Old Goose, Tianya, and Buell. Buell licked his lips. Brothers, looks like we've got some busybodies. But hey, they're both cute girls. Let's grab them. We can each have some fun, Tianya chimed in, 3rd bro's right. You 2 watch, I'll bring these damsels to us, Old Goose cautioned, don't get cocky. They've got good soul rings, meaning their skills are probably decent. Test the waters first. If it gets hairy, we'll jump in. Tianya waved him off. Fancy rings or not, she's just a soul sect. I'm a soul king. Tianya's weapon of choice was a kitchen knife, and his soul ring setup was white, yellow, yellow, and purple. You scum. You're going down. Xiao Wu was vibrating with excitement. She'd almost given up on finding these creeps, but then she heard noises tonight and came running. 7 treasures at your service, strength and speed boosted. Ning Rongrong's pagoda blazed, soul rings flashing as she poured buffs onto Xiao Wu, amping up her power and agility. Xiao Wu surged with raw force and breakneck speed. A strength-type soul master with a strength buff. It was like giving a tiger wings. Well, ain't she a feisty one? Listen, honey, if you don't want to get hurt, just tie yourself up now. Tianya was a squat, weathered guy who looked closer to 60. Brandishing his kitchen knife, he seemed almost comical. Dream on. Xiao Wu charged. Fine, have it your way. I'll teach you a lesson. Second soul skill, chop chop. A yellow ring flared around Tianya as he slashed with the knife in a flurry of motion. Teleport. Waist throw, that when she closed within 5 yards, Xiao Wu teleported behind Tianya. Then, using her waist throw skill, she sent him soaring into the night sky. Aya, a scream echoed from above. Crap, Old Goose and Buell were caught off guard and lunged forward. Too late, Xiao Wu warped into the air, twisted like a viper, and unleashed a barrage of kicks, the 8-step throw. By the time Old Goose and Douluo reached him, Tianya had been pummeled into the dirt, his bones likely fractured in a dozen places. Tianya! Tianya! Old Goose and Buell frantically tried to help their mangled companion. Am I gonna die? Tianya gasped before losing consciousness. Tianya! Buell shouted. Old Goose shook his head. He's out cold and seriously hurt. He got too confident. If you aren't in a good mood, then we strike together. Buell just nodded, finally taking Xiao Wu seriously. Bring it on. Come at me. Xiao Wu taunted, still itching for a fight. You hurt Tianya, I'm going to enjoy making you suffer. Buell snarled. Buell was a control-type soul master, borderline evil. Old Goose wielded a goose as his martial soul, making him speed-oriented. The two activated their soul skills and pounced on Xiao Wu. Teleport. Xiao Wu targeted Buell, instantly appearing at his side and landing a waist throw that sent him flying. Old Goose, however, had anticipated this. His goose claws darted toward Xiao Wu. Invincible golden body, bathed in golden light, Xiao Wu ignored the attack and stalked after Buell. Teleporting mid-air, she mimicked the 8-step throw, leaving Buell a broken, whimpering mess. Now only Old Goose was left standing. Damn it, seeing Buell writhing on the ground, unable to fight, Old Goose felt a knot of fear tighten in his gut. Xiao Wu's teleportation was a nightmare to deal with, and her strength was overwhelming. As he hesitated, wondering if he should run, Xiao Wu struck. Teleport. Waist throw. Old Goose braced himself, using his flight ability to evade the worst of the attack, preventing Xiao Wu from unleashing the full 8-step throw. He relied on his aerial advantage, trying to wear Xiao Wu down. Ning Rongrong kept a close eye on the battle. Unbeknownst to everyone, the girl the thieves subdued had vanished. She was saved by Chowda, who was hiding behind a wall. Thank you. The girl looked up at Chowda. Chowda nodded. You alright? Badly hurt? The girl shook her head. I'm fine. The girl didn't expect Chowda to strike the back of her head, rendering her unconscious. The moment the girl fainted, she vanished, only to reappear in the blink of an eye. Chowda's space-binding ability had locked her down. Once he'd spoken and received a response, the binding was triggered, because Chowda had already guessed the girl's identity before binding her. It was Zhu Zhuqing. With Zhu Zhuqing bound, Chowda gained a 5th soul ring. A purple, 1000-year ring for now, but with immense potential. Chowda's soul power jumped to level 51, officially making him a soul king, and binding Zhu Zhuqing amplified his physical and mental fortitude. Meanwhile, back at the bridge, the fight between Xiao Wu and Old Goose raged on. While Old Goose had speed and air support, Xiao Wu's teleport was a constant threat. Just gonna keep running. Frustrated by the elusive Old Goose, Xiao Wu snapped. Heh, let's see how long you can last. Old Goose planned to exhaust her, but he'd forgotten about Ning Rongrong. 7 treasures at your service, strength and speed boosted. Right on cue, Ning Rongrong re-upped Xiao Wu's buffs. You. Old Goose nearly choked. How could he forget the support-type soul master? What? You thought you could wear me down? I'm not fighting alone. Xiao Wu crowed. Eliminate the support, then victory. Old Goose whirled around, charging straight for Ning Rongrong. Xiao Wu didn't stop him, and Ning Rongrong didn't seem the least bit scared. Gotcha. Delighted with his imminent victory, Old Goose lunged, only to be met by a figure suddenly appearing in front of Ning Rongrong. A fist slammed into him, sending him crashing to the ground, coughing up blood. Xiao De, a soul king himself, hadn't even bothered with soul skills. His soul-powered fist had crushed Old Goose. "There's someone else," that the Old Goose fainted. Xiao Wu approached Xiao De. "Bro, what do we do with them? Should we just kill them? They've hurt so many girls. They deserve to die." Xiao De said, "Death's too easy. We'll cripple their martial souls. Let them suffer a fate worse than death." They destroyed the three thugs' martial souls, leaving them weaker than ordinary people. Their bodies suffered backlash and were very weak. Xiao De searched and found that the three had a storage soul guide, took it away, and took away all their belongings, including clothes, and then tied them to a pillar, and then hung the confession statement. After finishing, the three left with Zhu Zhuqing, who was still unconscious. Chapter 18. Zhu Zhuqing, why did you knock me out? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 18, why did Zhu Zhuqing get knocked out? Inside the inn room, Zhu Zhuqing woke up groggily, her neck throbbing. "Hey, she's awake," Xiao Wu chirped. Xiao De and Ning Rongrong were killing time with a game of backgammon at the table. "Up already?" Ning Rongrong glanced over, seeing Zhu Zhuqing sit up. "Good." Xiao De also looked her way. "You guys saved me?" Zhu Zhuqing asked, recognizing them vaguely. "Yep," Xiao Wu replied. "If we hadn't found you last night, things would have been bad. We were hunting for that flower snatcher when we ran into you. By the way, we didn't catch your name." She then introduced, "I'm Xiao Wu. This is Ning Rongrong, and my brother, Xiao De. We're all soul masters, just like you." Zhu Zhuqing looked at each of them, then said, "I'm Zhu Zhuqing. Thanks for saving me." She glanced at Xiao De, "Why did you knock me out, though?" Asterisk if you're going to save someone, just save them. Why knock them out cold star? Xiao De shrugged. Easier that way. Zhu Zhuqing didn't know what to say. She should be grateful, not nitpicking. Ning Rongrong looked at Xiao De, surprised. "You knocked her out?" "I thought those other guys did it." Xiao De just smiled, not elaborating. Xiao Wu, unfazed, kept chatting with Zhu Zhuqing. "Zhu Zhuqing, nice name. How old are you, and where are you from?" "We're from Tiando City. My brother's 14, and Rongrong and I are 12. I'm guessing you're around our age." Zhu Zhuqing hesitated a moment, then said, "I'm from the Star Luo Empire. I'm also 12. 12, with level 27 spirit power. Higher than me. I'm only level 26, Ning Rongrong chimed in. I can't believe I've met another ridiculously talented genius. She wondered if she was just lucky or unlucky, meeting Xiao De and Xiao Wu, and now Zhu Zhuqing, who was more talented than herself. Were there just way more geniuses around lately? Zhu Zhuqing was surprised. She didn't expect Ning Rongrong to be so similar in age. Then she got curious about Xiao Wu and Xiao De's power levels and asked, "What about you two?" Ning Rongrong said, "You won't believe it." Zhu Zhuqing raised an eyebrow. Xiao Wu looked at Xiao De, and with his nod, she told Zhu Zhuqing, "I'm level 41, and my brother's level 51. A soul sect and a soul king. We're special. We level up faster." Xiao De had already told Xiao Wu about binding Zhu Zhuqing, and included the level of soul power. Because after Zhu Zhuqing is bound, she will not do anything to hurt Xiao De, so these things can be told to Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing was speechless. A 12-year-old soul sect? A 14-year-old soul king? Who would believe that? Zhu Zhuqing's reaction pleased Ning Rongrong. "See? Told ya. I reacted the same way. Xiao Wu and Xiao De are freaks of nature. We're just slightly weird at best. There's no comparison." Zhu Zhuqing shook her head in disbelief. "I can't believe people like you exist. If anyone found out, they'd fight to get you on their side." Xiao Wu giggled. Exactly why we don't tell just anyone. Zhu Zhuqing, you have to keep it a secret. Zhu Zhuqing nodded seriously. I won't say a word. I'd be struck by lightning if I did. Xiao De stood up. You girls chat. I'll grab us some supper. You're the best, bro, Xiao Wu said happily. Ning Rongrong said now not polite, I'm actually a little hungry, thank you Xiao De. After Xiao De left, the girls found it easier to talk. So, Zhu Zhuqing, you're from the Star Luo Empire, Xiao Wu said. Do you have any friends or family around here? Zhu Zhuqing shook her head. Ning Rongrong looked at Zhu Zhuqing oddly. You ran away from home, too, didn't you? She said with a good word to use. Zhu Zhuqing looked at her and asked, You ran away from home? Xiao Wu laughed. My brother and I didn't. We're just traveling for training. Rongrong snuck out. Zhu Zhuqing, or can I call you Zhuqing? You didn't really run away, did you? Yeah, I did, Zhu Zhuqing mumbled, disheartened. Running away from home meant she could go back. But Zhu Zhuqing had a home she couldn't return to. Her family would kill her. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing's mood sour, Xiao Wu changed the subject, then they shared experiences that made them unhappy. Xiao Wu said, At first I wanted to kill them. But my brother said that we can't take advantage of them, and then deactivated their martial souls, so that they can also taste the feeling that life is worse than death. Ning Rongrong, without their martial soul, their fate is worse than ordinary people. This kind of villain needs to be punished like this. Zhu Zhuqing realized that Xiao Wu and the others were not as harmless as they seemed. They got what they deserved, Zhu Zhuqing said. You did the right thing. They chatted until Xiao De returned, having borrowed the inn's kitchen to make supper. Zhu Zhuqing was surprised, her appetite suddenly roaring. It was the first time she'd eaten such a delicious meal. She hadn't been eating right because of Dai Mubai, but tonight she ate her fill. Thank you for the meal, she said. Zhu Zhuqing had planned to go back to her old inn, but Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong talked her into moving in with them. They could watch out for each other, hang out, she finally agreed. The next day, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong helped Zhu Zhuqing move her luggage. We've seen the sights around Soto City, Xiao Wu said, bored, sprawled on the table. What's the plan now? Ning Rongrong asked Zhu Zhuqing. Zhuqing, what do you want to do? Zhu Zhuqing had been planning to get into Shrek Academy and get close to Dai Mubai. With her family gone, her fiancé was her only support, but now the idea didn't appeal to her as much. She hesitated. I don't have a plan. Ning Rongrong had been interested in Shrek Academy, but that's gone now. She asked Xiao De, what's your plan? Xiao De thought. Let's stay in Soto City for a bit and train. I'm going to the Great Soul Arena for some real combat experience. You guys can come, too. Sounds good, Xiao Wu said. I went to the Great Soul Arena in Tiando City, but I never fought. Always wanted to try it. Sounds fun. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing knew about the Great Spirit Arena. There was one in the Star Luo Empire, too. But they'd never actually fought in it. I'm just an assistant soul master, Ning Rongrong said. How would I even fight? You can team up in two-person matches, Xiao De explained. The main thing is to gain experience. They talked it over and decided to give it a shot. Chapter 19 Oscar and Dai Mubai's Spring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside the Great Spirit Arena in Soto City. I've been to the Great Soul Arena in Heaven-Do City a few times, but never actually fought there, I thought. Ning Rongrong, standing nearby, explained, there are 3 types of matches here, game fights, gamble fights, and life and death fights. Game fights are basically sparring, so deaths are rare. Gamble fights often lead to serious injuries or even death. And life and death fights? Those are brutal. It's kill or be killed. That I got a better grasp of how things worked at the Great Spirit Arena, Xiao De chimed in, for now, let's stick to game fights and build up our experience. Soul power is useless if you don't know how to fight. The arena offered life and death, gamble, and game, sparring, fights, rank badges, iron, bronze, silver, gold, registration, 10 gold coins, match formats, single, double, team, 7 players. You can only compete in one format per day, but you can sign up for multiple formats simultaneously. Xiao Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Xiao Wu registered using their real names and didn't bother with masks or aliases. To register, all they needed was their martial soul type, number of soul rings, and badge rank, without needing to disclose their age, background, or show their martial souls and soul rings. All 4 signed up, with Xiao De, Zhu Zhuqing, and Xiao Wu entering solo matches. The pairings of Xiao De and Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, would participate in tag team fights. They could have paired Xiao De with Ning Rongrong or Zhu Zhuqing, but the skill gap was too wide. Pairing them could attract opponents at the Soul King level, which wouldn't be good training for Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, who would benefit more from facing equally matched opponents. Whether solo or in pairs, they were only participating in game fights, so death was unlikely. The worst they'd get was a few bruises. Even serious injuries were rare. None of them had much real combat experience. Zhu Zhuqing had seen more life-or-death fights. Xiao De and the others usually just sparred with friends, lacking the intensity of a real fight. Fighting strangers in the arena, where no one holds back, was the best way to improve. They registered and waited for the arena to arrange their matches. Zhu Zhuqing's solo fight was scheduled first. Ning Rongrong went to watch, while Xiao De and Xiao Wu waited. Their own matches could start any minute. Every fight had an audience, and the arena made a killing selling tickets. Most of the spectators were average folks. Ning Rongrong found a seat in the stands. No sooner had she sat down than a guy approached her. "Hey there, you watching the fights alone?" "First time here." "Name's Oscar. I'm a soul master." Oscar, sporting a beard, sat behind Ning Rongrong with a leering smile, looking like a sleazy old guy. "Leave me alone, old man." Ning Rongrong gave Oscar a disgusted look. Not into the old man type, huh? Oscar was bummed. He grew the beard because some girls liked the mature look, but it backfired today. He didn't give up, though. "Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm only 14. The beard's just a phase." Point 14 with a full beard? That's rough. Xiao Wu and Xiao De were growing fast, but at least Xiao De wasn't growing a beard. "Stop bothering me, or I'll get nasty." Ning Rongrong got up and moved further away from Oscar. Oscar had to back off, for now, soon, Dai Mubai arrived with a pretty woman. "Hey, boss Dai, I saw a real beauty over there. Think I'm in love." Oscar nudged Dai Mubai and whispered, pointing toward Ning Rongrong. Dai Mubai glanced over. "Yeah, looks good from the back. Go for it." "What are you waiting for?" Oscar made a face. "She hates the beard." "Ugh." Dai Mubai grinned. "I told you to shave that thing off. Now you see it looks creepy." The woman beside him giggled. Oscar really did look like a creep with that beard, nothing like Dai Mubai. Some girls like the older look, though, Oscar argued, stroking his beard. "I swear. I'll shave it right now." Dai Mubai's eyes widened. "Wow, you're serious, aren't you? Go get her, man. I got your back." Oscar stared at Ning Rongrong, and headed for the restroom to shave. Dai Mubai's companion chuckled. "Mubai, that friend of yours is something else. Tell me about it." "He was good looking to start with, but he had to grow that beard," Dai Mubai said, pulling the woman onto his lap and getting busy. When Oscar returned, the fight had already begun, so he couldn't just walk up to Ning Rongrong. He'd have to wait until it was over. In this fight, Tengu, a level 28 Soul Master, will face Zhu Zhuqing, a level 27 Soul Master. They're entering the arena now. Let the match begin. Both sides may summon their martial souls and soul rings before engaging. The referee's voice rang out, Zhu Zhuqing. That name sounds familiar. Hearing that, Dai Mubai stopped what he was doing, much to the woman's displeasure, he was just getting started. "Mubai, what's wrong?" she complained. She didn't dare to push it. Dai Mubai was a soul master, and she was just a regular person, so she did her best to please him. Dai Mubai didn't answer, his eyes fixed on Zhu Zhuqing in the arena. Just in time to see her summon her martial soul, it hit him like a ton of bricks. He had a fiancée in the Star Luo Empire, betrothed since childhood. He'd only met her a couple times, and all he knew was her name and martial soul. Zhu Zhuqing's name and martial soul matched the fighter in the arena. Dai Mubai was certain, this was his long-lost fiancée. What was she doing here? Did she come to find him? He hadn't seen her in years, and she'd really grown up. And so beautiful, too. Dai Mubai felt a surge of desire. Zhu Zhuqing was gorgeous. If she was ugly, he wouldn't have given her a second thought. "Mubai, do you know someone in the arena?" the woman asked. Dai Mubai nodded, but didn't explain. He was already thinking about how to approach Zhu Zhuqing and win her over. As for the woman in his lap, she was just for kicks. He could find another one like her any time. Zhu Zhuqing was a talented and beautiful soul master, plus she was his fiancée, and their martial souls might even resonate. That was far better than some random woman. To escape the power struggles between his brothers, Dai Mubai had fled the Star Luo Empire and was hiding in Soto City. He never expected to find his beautiful fiancée here. He was getting excited. "Get out. We're done." Dai Mubai coldly dumped the woman on his lap. He was going to win over Zhu Zhuqing, and he couldn't let her see him with other women. The woman didn't dare to argue and sadly left.